Hey, what's up? Hello. So, 'tis the season to write letters of recommendation, and as someone who is frequently asked to write these letters, I wanted to share a few tips on how to ask for a letter of recommendation from a college professor. Now, I'm not going to say there is a distinct right way and wrong way to ask for these letters, but there's definitely ways to increase your chances that they will say yes. The first thing is where to ask. If you are currently in their class, attending in person, then you can ask them before class, after class, or more ideally, during their office hours. And if you are no longer their student or you don't live by the campus anymore, then you can definitely ask by email. Second thing is when to ask. If you want to increase your chances that your professor will say yes to writing your letter, I suggest giving them 2 to 3 weeks before the letter is due. Writing your letter takes time, submitting to multiple schools and programs takes time, and you are not the only student asking for this letter. You can still ask with less than a 2-week notice, but just know that your professor might say no, even if you have a great relationship with them, simply because they don't have the time to submit it before the deadline. Third is how to ask. So I know that I am a younger, more approachable professor. But even if your relationship with your professor is more relaxed and chill, asking for letters of recommendation is a formal thing. So you should ask formally, respectfully, and professionally. So if that's in an email, it's Dear Professor So-and-so, I recommend using this line: would you be willing to write a positive letter of recommendation supporting my application to X, Y, and Z programs? And that leads me to the fourth thing, which is what to include in your request. Please include what you're applying to, how many scholarships or programs you are applying to, and when is the earliest deadline. That is really what determines if your professor can write and submit the letters before that deadline. Other things to consider: if you are applying to a school, a university, a college, there's usually a box where you can select to waive your rights to the report of that letter or not to waive your rights to that report. It is completely your right to choose what you want, but my suggestion is to waive your rights. When you select I waive my rights to this report, it communicates to your professor that you trust them completely about what they're going to write. When you select I do not waive my rights to this report, there's sometimes an unspoken feeling that you don't truly trust what your professor is going to write about you. And then the last thing is who to ask. Ask a professor who you've actually spoken to. You know, in these letters, we don't really write about your grades because that's what the transcript is for. We write about your personality and your character. So to make that known, you should ask questions during class. Email your questions if it's an online class. Try to visit office hours if you can. That way your professor has interactions to actually write about in your letter.